In this video, you'll see how to get more control over exactly how your image or images open in Photoshop by using Lightroom's export command to send your image or images to Photoshop for further editing. If you use this method, you have many options. You can create as many presets as you want with different parameters for different tasks. Let's see how to do this. First, select the images or image you want to bring into Photoshop from Lightroom. For this example, I'm just going to select one image, but when you're actually using this method, you can select multiple images. Now, select Export, either by clicking on Export in the left panel or selecting File Export. This opens the Export dialog window. Under Export Location, choose a location for your copied file. You can have it export to a specific folder, or choose a folder later, which gives you more flexibility, or the same folder as the original. If you're exporting to a specific folder, you need to locate that folder with the options that appear, or create a new folder. I suggest you also select Add to this catalog and Add to Stack. Now, Add to Stack is only going to be an option if you've chosen same folder as your Export To option. Under file naming, you can create an appropriate preset that will identify your image. I suggest you add the word Edit to your original file name. Do this by selecting Edit from the pop-up menu, and then in the File Names template editor, add the word. Shortly, I'll show you how to create an export preset. You can create one preset for exporting high-resolution files to Photoshop, another for sending a series of images for panorama stitching, and another preset for HDR files. Each preset will contain different parameters, so you should use different nomenclature for each. I suggest using the word Edit for one, Pano for the second, and HDR as a third choice. Under File Settings, choose Image Format. TIFF is probably the most useful for anything you might do in Photoshop. Under Color Space, choose ProPhoto RGB if you're doing image processing and want to preserve the most color detail. Under Bit Depth, choose 16 bits component if you want to preserve the most color detail, but 8 bits component if you're working with several files, for example, to create a panorama or HDR, which is a high dynamic range image. Some people might feel otherwise, but 16-bit really slows the process and creates huge files. Under image size, you can keep the original dimensions by deselecting Resize to Fit, or if you want to speed up your workflow, choose a lower resolution. Remember, we're creating different presets for different workflows, so you can have one preset with full resolution and another with much less. I suggest including metadata and not selecting watermark. You can always add a watermark later when you're finished working on your image. Under post-processing, you want to select Open in Photoshop CC. Once you have all these settings complete, it's time to create an export preset. It's easy to do. Simply select Add from the left side of the dialog window and name your preset. Be sure to give it an understandable name. For example, you might have a preset called High Res Edit, one called Pano Full Res, Pano Reduced, and HDR, and so on. The next time you're ready to send images to Photoshop, simply select the file or files, then select File, Export with Preset, and the applicable preset. Lightroom does the rest, and before you know it, your file or files will be open and ready to edit in Photoshop. Since you selected Add to Catalog in your Export Presets options, the file will also appear in Lightroom, stacked with the original image. You're ready to go.